Introduction 1. The objective of this work. The Gospel can be divided into 5 parts: the events in the life of Christ, the miracles, the prophecies, the words taken by the Church in which they base their dogmas, and the moral teachings. The first 4 have been the object of controversies. However, the last has remained constantly inviolate. Before this divine code, even incredulity bows down. This is the common ground where all cults may be united. This is the flag under which all may gather, whatever their creeds. For it has never been a matter of religious dispute, which has always and in all places originated from dogmatism. Moreover, if it had been discussed, then all cults would have found their own condemnation within it, seeing that, in the majority, they have held on to the more mystical rather than the moral part that demands an intimate reform from each one. Specially prepared for humankind, it constitutes a code of rule in which to behave in every circumstance of both private and public life. It offers the basic principles of all social relations founded on rigid justice. Finally, and above all, it is the infallible route to lasting happiness and the uplifting of a corner of the veil that hides the future life. This is what forms the exclusive objective of this work. Everyone admires the moral of the Gospel. Everyone proclaims its sublimity and the need we have for it. However, of the many who proclaim their faith, believing what others have said, or relying on maxims that have become proverbs, few know the basis, or even fewer understand it, or are able to deduce the consequences of it. In many cases, the reason for this is in the difficulty in understanding the Gospel, which for many is quite unintelligible. The allegorical form used and the intentional mysticism of the language makes it something we read because we feel we ought to, or because our conscience tells us to, or because we are obliged to. However, we often do so as one would read prayers, without understanding them and consequently without taking any benefit from them. In this way, the moral precepts go unnoticed, scattered here and there between a mass of narratives. This makes it impossible to get the general idea of the whole, or to take these ideas as specific subjects for reading and meditation. It is true that various works have already been written concerning the gospel morality. Nevertheless, after being put into modern prose, they have lost their primitive simplicity, which at the same time constituted both their charm and their authenticity. Many others also deal with the best-known maxims reduced to the simplest form of a proverb. These then are no more than aphorisms, deprived of part of their value and interest due to the lack of accompanying accessories and the circumstances of the enunciation. In order to avoid these undesirabilities, we have collected together in this work all the subjects that go to form a universal moral code, without distinction as to creed. In these citations, we have kept all that is useful in the development of these ideas, putting aside only that which does not pertain directly to the matter. Apart from this, we have kept scrupulously to the translation of Sassi and to the divisions of the verses. But instead of following the chronological order, which would have been impossible and have made no sense, we have methodically grouped and classified the various maxims according to their respective natures, so that they follow on, one from the other, as much as possible. An indication of chapters and verses permit reference to the original text whenever desired. These details refer only to the material side of this work, which on its own would be of secondary importance. The main objective is to put these teachings within easy reach of everyone by means of clear explanations, especially those passages that until now have remained obscured, thus revealing the full consequence of these teachings and the manner in which they may be applied in all lifestyles. This is what we have attempted to do, together with the help of the good Spirit who assisted us. Many points in the Gospel, the Bible, and the writings of the sacred authors are in general unintelligible. some even appearing nonsensical, for lack of key that would help in understanding their true meaning. This key is to be found in its most complete form within Spiritism, as those who have already made a serious study of it can verify, and as many more in the future will come to recognize. Spiritism can be found throughout ancient times and repeatedly during the different epochs of humanity. We find vestiges in many places in the form of writings, in beliefs and in monuments. This is the reason why, at the same time, it is opening new horizons for the future, it is also projecting a no less brilliant light upon the mysteries of the past. As a complement to each precept, we have added some well-chosen instructions from amongst those dedicated by spirits in various countries, through different mediums. If they had been taken from only one origin, they would probably have suffered the influence either of the person or the ambient, whereas the diversification of origins proves that the spirits give teachings without distinction and that no one person is specially privileged. This work is for the use of everyone. From it, we may all discover the means by which we may apply Christ's moral teachings to our daily lives and how best to go about it. This applies very specially to Spiritists. The relationship between humans and the invisible world has therefore been established on a permanent basis. Thus, the law of the gospel, which the spirits have taught to all nations, will no longer be a matter of dead words, because each person will be able to understand them. They will see themselves incessantly compelled to put them into practice according to counselings from the spiritual guides. These instructions coming from the spirits are really the voices from heaven that have come to enlighten humankind and invite them to put the gospel into practice.